to my channel. My name is Maya Alexis and I'm a senior computer science major. I have two AWS certifications. And if you watched my previous video, at the beginning I talked about how I thought the cloud practitioner exam would be extremely easy because someone told me that, but when I took the test, I actually failed. So I decided that I'm going to do a series talking about different AWS services and what I learned to be able to go from making a like 640 to a 900 score on my AWS Cloud Practitioner. But don't leave if you are studying for the Solution Architect exam. The things that I'll be going over in these series is definitely helpful for people taking the Solutions Architect exam too. So let's hop right into it. Today, I'll be talking to you about S3. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, and it is one of AWS services that deals with object level storage. I want to start talking about this one because when I was taking the cloud practitioner exam, I really struggled trying to remember like what S3 was because of the name. It kind of confused me, especially because most of AWS services are abbreviated. And then when it came to like when they were asking about different storage classes, I didn't really understand which one should be used for which. So today I'm going to break down the S3 storage classes so you can understand which one is best used for which and what they mean and how to just remember which storage class you should be using for different scenarios, because on the Solutions Architect exam, it actually wants you to recommend which storage class you should be using for this scenario. And then in the cloud practitioner exam, it's just asking you like, when should you use S3? So my advice would be to take out your notes, write down what I'm saying because it may resonate with you and help you remember while you're studying and when you're taking your test. Let's talk about what S3 can be used for. First, it can be used for media hosting, such as music videos, regular videos. Then it can host static websites. So like you can upload your HTML files, all that type of stuff, and you can host it actually from S3. It also can be used for regular storage and for backup storage. S3 is also highly available, which means it can be stored in different availability zones, except for one storage class, which I'll get into next. There are 6 different storage classes within S3. The first one is named S3 Standard, and that's basically for general purposes like videos, web gaming, static websites, everything that you want pulled immediately that you're using right then, all of that stuff goes into S3. The next class is called S3 Intelligent Tiering, and it moves your data for you automatically depending on how rapidly you use the data in it. If you use the data frequently, it would keep in the S3 standard, but if you use the data kind of infrequently, it would move it to a different storage class, and it'll be in the storage classes that I'm about to get into. A lot of people use this because it's cost efficient. The next class is called S3 Standard IA, and it basically stands for infrequent access. So S3 standard infrequent access, and it is used as it is named. You only use it when you're not accessing data frequently. But the good thing about infrequent access is it's cheaper than standard and cheaper than intelligent tiering. But if you need the data, it can be retrieved very quickly. The next class is called S3 One Zone IA, and it stands for one zone, which means one availability zone, and IA, infrequent access. So it does the same thing as the standard infrequent access, but it's way cheaper than standard IA, and it's typically used by customers who want a low cost option of storing data that they infrequently use and they don't really care about if it's highly available or resilient. The next one is called S3 Glacier. And if you ever read the word archive, think about this one and the next one that I'm about to mention. It is for very infrequently accessed data. And the good thing about this one is, even though it's stored deep in there, it can be retrieved within a couple of minutes. The last one is called S3 Glacier Deep Archive, and it is used for data that only needs to be retrieved maybe once or twice during a year. And it is best used for companies who have to keep data for up to like 10 years for compliance reasons, and they just need it stored somewhere that's very cheap. And this one is cheaper than all of the options that I've mentioned before. You may be thinking, what is the difference between S3 Glacier and S3 Glacier Deep Archive? The main thing I remember to distinguish them from each other is S3 Deep Archive. It takes up to 12 hours to retrieve the data, when S3 Glacier takes a couple of minutes. All of these storage classes, except for S3 One Zone IA, all of them are highly redundant and can be spread out throughout multiple availability zones. So remember, one zone can't be because it's in one zone, availability zone. When you're studying or reading through the test and you see keywords such as object level storing or static anything, always think of S3. That is what it's for. That's what it's used for. And that's what distinguishes it from other storage. On a cloud practitioner, you may see questions like, what storage service could be used to host like static files or something like that? S3, S3, S3. Static, S3. Always make sure you choose that option. For the solutions architect exam, you may see questions like, a company has data that they need to store for up to 10 years because of compliance regulations. What is the most cost efficient way of storing the data? And S3 Glacier Deep Archive is the best option. When you're reading the questions, make sure you pay attention to how much the data is being accessed. Is it being accessed frequently or infrequently? Then you have to remember, what does the customer want? Is the question talking about the customer wants the most cost efficient way, or the customer doesn't care if it's highly available? So those are the things to help you figure out which storage class it needs to be in relating to S3. So I hope this video helped you. If you have any questions, please leave comments. I wish you the best on your exam and stay tuned for part 2.